I am going to speak probably as quickly as I've ever had because I have a little bit of a cold. My throat hurts. I want to do this video, but it probably will be a lot shorter because I can't really talk that well. Okay, and so excuse the cough drop because that's the only thing that's keeping my voice or my throat somewhat normal. Okay, so this topic is one of my, actually three of probably my favorite books of 2015. There are so many books that I read, and there are some that were like, okay, and then some that were really great. So I have three of them. These aren't my favorite books ever, but I think these definitely for me stood out for me in 2015. So the very first book is called Being Mortal by Atul Gawande. I hope I'm saying that right. I know this dude's a surgeon, and he's written so many different books on certain topics in the medical profession. So what this book is about, this book really, I think this probably is one of my favorite books because it resonated with me on so many levels. So what this book is talking about, this author is actually a surgeon, and he kind of talks about some of his personal as well as professional experiences with the subject of death. Now, I know that sounds very grim. However, it's a subject that is all around us. It's inevitable, like it's going to happen to everyone. And I think what this book does is talk about what are people's expectations. First of all, it talks about, yes, what are people's expectations regarding death, but what are their expectations regarding their care. So to back things up, yeah, so this guy talks about, like I said, he's a doctor. He talks about a lot of his own experiences. This book resonates with me because I actually do work in an ICU or critical care setting. So I see a lot of death a lot of the time, and families having to deal and how they grieve with death. I see that all in the ICU. And so some people have expectations that really supersede the situation, and I don't, like, not in a good way. Like they think that this person basically is laying on death's door. That sounds very mean to say that, but they're very, very sick, and the possibility that they're going to die is highly likely. And the family, for various reasons, they may not accept that, so they want to continue care of this patient as long as they can. And especially in ICU, that involves a lot of procedures that I'm pretty sure, not comfortable for the patient. So, I mean, yes, it's sustaining their life, but the quality of life is not there. So it kind of talks about more in depthly what are our expectations in regards to our health care, and how we as medical professionals, we need to do a better job of approaching this topic. Because another thing, like in the ICU, like it's like people don't think about these things, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but they get in the ICU and they want every single thing. The family, for instance, will want everything possible, every procedure, everything to keep this person alive. However, the patient may have not expressed that, or may have expressed that they didn't want, if they felt like it was their time, they didn't want to be hooked up to a bunch of machines and tubes and things like that. But there's this, if that's not in writing, then the family can override that and do. And I've seen it. It just like basically tortures this person to the end of their death. So it kind of talks about talks about our expectations regarding what we would want done if in the event that we got really sick and weren't able to make decisions or weren't going to progress in care. Ultimately, that's what it leads down to. But yeah, like I think it does a really good job talking about some of the problems that death is not a conversation that anyone wants to talk about, and that's kind of the problem. That's one of the problems that he kind of talks about. We wait until the very last minute to address our issues or our desires when it comes to our care. So anyways, I highly recommend it. I don't think you have to be in the medical profession to appreciate this book because death affects us all. So, but I mean, since he's using this is his job, and like we're both medical professionals. This really resonated with me because I see just a lot of a lot of hard things in ICU. So anyways, highly check that one out. The second one, this actually is more lighthearted, but I was not expecting to like this book at all, but it had been on like the whatever sellers list, national bestsellers list for like ever. So I decided to pick it up, and actually it's actually really funny. It's called Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. And I don't even know, like, to even start this, I don't even know where to begin with the story. Basically, there's this guy, and that sounds like so bad. But yes, so like a long story, there's this guy, and he's wealthy, but he doesn't really divulge this information to his current girlfriend, who he's thinking about proposing to. I think so. Or he wanted to meet the family. Sorry, it's been a while since I read this. He was going to have her meet his family. However, he did not let her know that his family is extremely wealthy and all the shenanigans that go with that. So it kind of talks about, there talks about the guy and the girl relationship, but it also talks about her dynamic and her reaction when she meets his family for the first time. This book is 500 or so pages, but I remember flying through it because the writing is very entertaining, and he actually does a really good job. I don't know any wealthy people. Okay, I don't know billionaires that exist like this in this book, but he actually does, I think, a good job developing the characters. I think it can be very easy to stereotype someone who's wealthy as like, flippant. They don't care about anybody else. They only care about maintaining and accruing more wealth. And actually, there's some people. I mean, yeah, you have that, but they also mention characters who don't, even though they were born wealthy, they're not flaunting, their wealth. But anyways, so yeah, I would check it out. I think it's very easy, even though sometimes I think people think the pages are daunting, but it's very easy to read, and it goes by very quickly. So yeah, I would check it out. All the shenanigans that go with meeting. And then the main character is actually not wealthy herself. And so it talks about some of I recommend it. Okay. Last but not least, I really didn't think I was going to like this at all, but it got such good reviews on Amazon. That's like my second husband, that I had to buy it. So this is Big Little Lies, and by Leanne Moriarty. And the story, I think she always has her stories take place in Australia. I don't think that this story takes place in Sydney, but it's not that Sydney encapsulates all of Australia. Sorry, that's not what I meant. But anyways, it takes place somewhere in Australia, in a beach town, where there's this new girl, new mom, I guess, who's in this new neighborhood, and she befriends some of the other moms, and it's kind of an interesting book because I think it talks about a lot of mommy politics, which I'm not a mom, and I'm not trying to, anyways. Yeah, it talks about like mommy politics and like the dynamics you have with like, I guess the super mom and different types of moms and how their kids interact. And so there's a situation in the book where the main character's son gets into it with one of the, I guess, alpha moms. I don't even know what you want to call them. The mom who's like, in everything, involved in everything. Well, their children kind of get into a little bit of a beef, and it kind of talks about what happens after that, and some of the struggles this mom has had to face when she's in this new town, and she's essentially the new kid on the block. But yeah, like there's a lot of I think this is a well-told story. I mean, the story is, I would say the ending's not cliche, but it's not like something that would, I don't know, like I feel like with a story like this, like it's the way you tell it, because it's not like this astounding like new story, but I do think it is. I guess that's the talent and gift of being a writer, is how you tell the story, and how the details divulge, and how she chooses to speak through each of these characters. And I really enjoy. I normally don't like. I kind of consider I'm kind of a snob about books sometimes. I don't like reading anything that's like not non-fiction. So when I got this, I was kind of like, oh, I hope this is good. Surprisingly, it was. I shouldn't be such a snob all the time. But yeah, it's very interesting book. I will say that, and I highly recommend it. There's so many other books that I'm thinking of now. I read The Stand. That's phenomenal. Like I don't even know if I can finish that in like one video. I feel like it's multiple parts because there's so much going on. I'm rambling. I'm sorry. Anyways, so these are I would recommend this book. This one, these are the three. Please check them out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Thank you for listening to this rant.